want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Dean with the JoBlo Movie Network. Directors and writers sometimes put forth some major effort in the most mundane details of movies. Sadly, many of these go unnoticed, but if you do catch them, it is extremely satisfying. So let's count down the top 10 small details you never noticed in movies. At number 10 is a particular mall in Back to the Future. When we start off our story, we see Marty riding his skateboard up to the Twin Pines Mall sign right before heading down to see Doc. After a tragic turn of events in the mall parking lot, Marty inadvertently goes back in time and ends up in 1955, arriving in the middle of Twin Pines Ranch belonging to Otis Peabody. Believing he is an alien from outer space, Otis isn't too happy to see the trespasser. As Marty escapes, he ends up running over one of Mr. Peabody's prized Twin Pines, leaving a lone pine. Why is this important? Well, when Marty ends up back in the future, we see him running up to what is now Lone Pine Mall, a result of his own events from the past. At number 9 is the Big Lebowski. This one is extremely subtle, and odds are hardly anyone caught this one besides maybe some medical professionals. Near the end of the movie, Donny is seen missing his only strike of the movie and seems a bit perplexed about it. He then walks back to his chair, and the camera and story focus is put back on Walter and the dude. But notice how Donny grabs his arm and he makes it obvious that it is bothering him. Now, let's cut to outside after the fight with the nihilists, and Donny is on the ground having a heart attack. In movie time, this is only around 15 minutes or so later. And guess what? Pain and numbness in your arm is an early warning sign of an impending heart attack. Now that's an obscure detail. Number 8 is the Lego Movie. This film is filled to the brim with all kinds of subtle details and references, but one detail used throughout the movie foreshadows the live-action ending. If you look closely at all of the detailed renderings, you will see lots of flaws and blemishes in the plastic material of the characters. But if you look even closer, you start to notice actual fingerprints on the characters. The fingerprints show up throughout the movie on pretty much all of the characters and items in the Lego world. And of course, we later learn why those fingerprints exist. Number 7 is none other than Mad Max Fury Road. It's no secret that all of us here at JoBlo love this movie, and for good reason. The movie is filled with a wonderful post-apocalyptic mystique and several references of religious iconography. One of these is the hands together with laced fingers we see throughout the movie with almost no explanation. But if you do some research on the Mad Max universe, you will see this hand motion as a prayer of sorts to the almighty V8 engine. If you lace your fingers together and look at the profile of your hands, you will see it as a crude representation of the opposing 4 cylinders of each side of a V8 engine. Witness that! Number 6 is going back to a classic superhero movie from 1978. The original Superman had so many things going for it. Christopher Reeve was a huge part of it for sure, but did you know there was a subtle detail brought to the screen to help distinguish the difference between Clark Kent and Superman? Well, besides the obvious costume change and glasses. Well, check this out. His hair parts on the left when he's Clark, and on the right when he's Superman. Once again, a very subtle detail, and one that was indicative of the 70s when filmmakers took their craft very seriously and made use of whatever resources were at their disposal, long before computers could help fix every scene. At number 5 is a Quentin Tarantino reference from his Kill Bill duology. Now, some hardcore QT fans may already know this one, but odds are the casual fan and even hardcore movie buffs probably didn't notice this small detail. Check out Uma Thurman's shoes when she arrives at the Tokyo restaurant to battle the Yakuza army of O-Rin Ishii. It's pretty hard to see, so let me put up a still of the shoes here. That's right, the shoes send a not-so-subtle message in the footprint of anyone unfortunate enough to see the bottom of her shoe. Jurassic Park lands at number 4. Here's a detail that's not only interesting, but also clears up a gripe many people had about the kitchen scene with the kids and velociraptors. Little Timmy sees the freezer door open and runs towards it with a raptor in hot pursuit. As soon as he makes it in there, the floor is covered with ice, causing the raptor to go sliding into the freezer with just enough time for Timmy to lock the door behind him. So people complain this was dumb movie logic because why would the freezer door be open, much less have ice in there? Well, you see, John Hammond went in there the night before to get all of the ice cream out because he knew it was going to melt. He left the door open because, well, it didn't really matter at the time, and he probably had his hands full of ice cream containers from the looks of what's out on this table. Of course, the other freezer contents thawed out, leaving lots of condensation and pools of water on the floor overnight. However, the next day the power was restored, and even with the door open, a powerful commercial freezer would get cold enough again to at least refreeze the water on the floor, leading to the scene of Timmy and the raptor slipping on the floor later. At number 3 is a particular sweatshirt we see Clive Owen wearing in Children of Men. A sweatshirt that shows a design for the 2012 Olympic Games in London. Why is that worth mentioning? Well, this movie was made in 2006, and the Olympics did indeed take place in 2012 in London. So was the costume department psychic in their prediction? Nope. Cities declare interest in hosting the Olympics 10 years in advance. The final candidates are chosen a year later, and then 2 years after that, the host city is declared a good 7 years before the Olympics take place, probably right around the time the movie was being made. Now, the movie takes place in 2027, making the shirt look extremely old and worn. But in reality, the costume designer created this prop as a real-world symbol of a guaranteed future event during the movie production, so that it could reflect a keepsake someone might have of a significant past event in the universe of the movie. Is your mind blown yet? I love the detail here at number 2, but then again, I'm a sucker for wordplay and literalisms. In the end credits of Pulp Fiction, we see the standard actor and character listings like you would in any movie. But right at the end, we see a strange listing for the actor Robert Ruth. Apparently, Mr. Ruth played a coffee shop? Clearly a typo. But no! It's a clever credit put in by Tarantino to amuse himself and I guess anyone else that might notice. Here's the scene in question.
I am not a hero, I'm just a coffee shop.
Now see, the actor was about to say a coffee shop manager, but then Tim Roth cut him off before he could finish. So the line ends with him being just a coffee shop. So of course Tarantino credits him accordingly. I love it. And our number 1 is a very cool but subtle detail done by Pixar in their early film Monsters, Inc. Pixar is known for putting real-world filmmaking artifacts into their movies, such as the gag reels placed at the end of their films. So it should come as no surprise they play around with the idea of standard filmmaking techniques when they put Mike Wachowski on the run from Randall Boggs the chameleon in this scene. Here we see Mike running to escape from Randall, and right about here we see him jump over the camera. Nothing unusual about that, happens all the time in films, except, remember, there is no camera. This is all animated. It is a nice touch, though, that helps blur the lines between live-action films and animated movies. So there's our top 10 small details in movies. Tell us down below your favorite entry on the list, or maybe one we forgot. I'm Jason Dean for the JoBlo Movie Network, and thanks for watching.